Hey guys, good morning, welcome back to the channel. Hey, today is Saturday, April 1st, and we're up the farm today. Going to do a little work on the disc. I've got to get it ready to go. I'm ready to get started as soon as the weather dries up. We've been getting a lot of rain. Got a lot more rain last night. It seems like every Friday for the last 3 or 4 weeks we get 2, 3, 4 inches of rain. We got a bunch more rain last night and it's pretty wet. So soon as we can get some drier conditions, we'll get into the field and get started. I've got the disc hooked up this morning to the 30-20, and I know that this is I know this looks a little odd. Believe it or not, that thing actually knew that disc was behind it, just pulling it up here on the wheels. Of course, it's not going to handle this disc, but I've got the ripper hooked up to the 4430, and I wanted to leave it on there till I'm done. I like a little ripping yet, and I want to get that finished before I take it off. So I just hooked this up to the 30-20 this morning so we could get it up here and get the gang fixed. I've got a blade that's broke here on the end on this wing. I need to get that put back on, and also these are loose a little bit, and I need to slide this end bracket here on this end bearing. I need to slide it in a little bit to get everything tightened up. It won't tighten up from the nut because my bearing's out of adjustment. I've had this gang all apart one time, and evidently I didn't get it. I put some new bearings in it, and evidently I didn't get it adjusted right when I put it back together. But and it's loosened up over time. But we're gonna fix that this morning. I gotta get these wings folded out, and we'll start work. Alright, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to loosen this up right here and try to get this scooted over to close this gap right here. Get the bearing up against this spindle, and we'll get that done. Of course, then we'll change the disc. We'll put the new disc on, and then hopefully we can tighten everything back up. And when we do, all these discs here will be tight. They're pretty well tight, snug from this bearing out. It's just from here out to the end they got a little loose, and I don't know. We'll try to fix that though. So it's pretty windy out here today. I hope you can hope you can hear me, but can't do anything about the wind. But we need the wind. As long as it's blowing, it's going to help dry the ground. So I'm not gonna complain about the wind. Let it blow, but it is windy today. All right, let's see if we can get that knocked over and close that gap. All right, I think that's going to work. I'm going to leave that loose until I get the axle all tightened up, and maybe it'll set itself where it needs to be. I won't be fighting myself to get it tight. Now to get this nut loose, I've got me a wrench on the back nut on the axle. I've got my big crescent on the jam nut. And this ground is sobby wet. I got my 2x4 down here to put my knees on, because I got to get down here with it, and I'm going to try to get this nut broke loose. Hopefully that'll go fairly easy, but it's jammed on there pretty tight right now. We're going to have to jar it loose with a hammer. So I'll get you set up here where you can see a little bit, and we'll see what we can do. Well, it's not going to go easy. It's already told me that. Aha! Yeah. That 200 pounds changed its mind. Alright, there's one. I think he's there. That's nice. I have had a time getting these things loose, and if you've ever done this, you know what I'm talking about. Sometimes it takes heat, sometimes it takes cheater pipes, big hammers, but we're going to get lucky today. Alright, nut number 2. Now, I didn't show this a while ago, but this piece right here, if you've never worked on a disc, you've got this square spacer right here, and that sets up against your disc. Now what you've got is this, you should have a piece like this or something similar to this, and you see where it bends over here, it'll bend over that square. When you put your nut on, it'll bend over on the flat part of the nut, and that will keep your nut from backing off. That'll kind of lock it in place. And plus I had a lock nut on this one as well. I don't remember what that's for, but there is what's left of my disc blade. So we're going to get the new blade and we'll get it on here. So the disc has got 20-inch blades on it, and everything but the outside blade. Now the outside blade on this front gang right here is 20 inches, but the outside blades on the wings are 18. So that's what I bought, was an 18-inch disc. I gotta get it turned right there. It is. So, and you put the smaller blades out here. I don't guess it's necessary, but especially on the back, if you've got the big blade on the back, you got your disc cutting deep, it'll leave kind of a trench at the edge of your disc. And the same on the front. You kind of, on the edge of it, you kind of want it to cut a little shallower, because you're probably going to overlap that anyway, and you want to, it helps on leveling the ground. You're not cutting trenches through your field. Of course, when we finish, when we do our finish pass, we've got a harrow that we pull behind it to level the ground out. That does real good, but it is it's a good idea to put a smaller blade on the edge, I believe, but not necessary, but it does work. All right. So I'm going to put that old disc center back on there as a spacer. And I'm also going to go get some spray and spray this thing down before we put that nut back on. So we've got some penetrating oil here. We'll spray this axle down, help cut that. Spray the nut. Just kind of help cut that rust off of there. Make things a little less labor intensive putting it back together maybe. All right, now we're going to start the process of tightening it up, and hopefully we can get everything good and snug. We still got a pretty good ways to go yet getting it tight. I may not have enough threads to do that. That's kind of why I guess I had this in here. I'd forgotten about it, but that I don't want to put that back in there if I don't have to. Let's see what we can do. Alright, it's getting there. We'll get our hammer on it. We'll snug it in there real good, and I think we're gonna be alright. I'm gonna have to put this wrench on this axle somewhere to keep it from turning on me. I need a bigger pipe wrench. All right, they're all good and tight. I am going to stop it right there. We will get everything set up and locked in place. I need to go just a hair more to get that nut square right there. So let me hit that with a hammer for a second. See if I can get that. Alright, I couldn't get it to budge, so we're gonna lock her down right there. Alright, this is that piece I was talking about earlier. It's bent over here onto this piece. We're gonna bend it here to lock it down this nut so this nut don't back off. Alright, we'll throw our jam nut on there and get her locked down. The jam nut's got shot. Now guys, I'm gonna call that good. We gotta go over it and grease it. We got a bunch of corn stalks in it where I was disting corn stalks last fall. But that's my old white 271. That is a heavy, hard pulling disc, but it will flat cut, and it loads the 4430. It definitely knows it's behind it, but it does a good job. I broke that blade last fall disting corn ground, and need to get it fixed before we started back this year. I've got a tire off of it right here. I had a flat. I pulled that off. I gotta go pick it up, having it fixed. So we'll get that put back on and get her greased up, and we'll be ready to go. At the beginning of this video, if you thought we were going to be pulling this disc with this 30-20, that's kind of what I wanted you to think, but I don't think it would probably ever move. But it would do all it could do, but it's just not going to handle it. But it worked just perfect for what we had to do this morning, getting it pulled up here and working on it, and we'll have it hooked up to the 4430 here in a while. I just didn't want to unhook the ripper off the 4430 just to move this disc. But guys, I appreciate you being here. We've got the 7000 planter that we will be doing some upgrades on here shortly, and we got to get it set up. I'm gonna do a little no-tilling this year, so I want to go over it and make sure I get it adjusted right and get it set up for no-till, and we're going to do some modifications to it as well. I think you may be interested in that, but that'll be coming up, and we'll be in the field doing tillage just as soon as it's dry enough to get there. But right now it's wet, and like I said, April 1st, we got plenty of time yet, but whenever it does dry up, we'll be out here working, and I'll bring y'all on. So guys, I appreciate you being here. Thank you for tuning in and watching the channel and supporting us, and as always, we'll see you next time.